Wagons did not lose because they were useless. They lost because buyers wanted tall hoods, fake adventure trim, and an SUV image. That mistake left cheaper, roomier, smarter cars hiding on used lots. Today, we are covering 6 wagon-style gems that haul real cargo for sedan money. Number 1 is the Toyota family sleeper SUV buyers still miss. Number 6, Buick Rainier and Chevy Trailblazer, 2-row. Before every family paid luxury money for a crossover, old-school utility boxes like the Rainier and Trailblazer did the same work with less drama. I know, this is not a true wagon. It is more like the American wagon substitute, body-on-frame, roomy, square, and built before every SUV started wearing fake sporty trim. We like a clean 2006 Buick Rainier CXL, or a similar 2-row Chevy Trailblazer, preferably rust-light, stock, and not beaten like a plow truck. Under the hood, you usually get GM's 4.2-liter inline-6, with an automatic rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive depending on the model. Some trims used a V8, but the inline-6 is the simple, common play for most buyers. Cargo is where this thing gets interesting. You get roughly 39.8 cubic feet behind the rear seat, and around 80.1 cubic feet with the seats folded. That is serious SUV-level room, with towing that can reach about 6,500 to 6,700 pounds, depending on setup. Try replacing that space with a newer midsize SUV, and suddenly the cheap old Buick stops looking silly. Buyers skip these because they look thirsty, outdated, and too old school for modern suburbia. Wagon buyers do not claim them, SUV buyers chase newer badges, and that weird middle ground kills demand. That creates value. Street reality check. You're not buying fuel economy or modern screen comfort. You are buying space, towing ability, and cheap American parts. Known weak points are rust, front suspension wear, transfer case service on all-wheel drive models, cooling problems, electrical gremlins, rear suspension wear, and tired interior bits. Wagon-specific inspection note. Check the rear cargo floor, liftgate seals, spare tire area, hatch struts, and any damp carpet. A wet cargo area tells you the owner ignored the back half of the vehicle, and that usually means other services were ignored too. Also, crawl under the rear and inspect brake lines, fuel lines, frame areas, and hitch wear. If the rear end whines or the transmission shifts lazily when warm, the bargain gets smaller. Also, compare the price against a newer Traverse, Highlander, or Explorer. Those may look cleaner and newer, but you can spend $20,000 more just to haul the same bags, coolers, and folding chairs. If your real use is weekend hardware runs, airport luggage, and towing a small trailer a few times a year, the old GM box can make sensible math. The smart buy is the plain one with clean coolant, boring receipts, and a dry cargo floor. The next one is a real European wagon, and it proves that comfort can be cheap if the service history is clean. If this straight wagon talk helps you, subscribe. We show reliable utility cars, costly traps, and smarter ways to avoid SUV prices. Number 5. Volvo V70, 2006 to 2009. Park a Volvo V70 beside a modern crossover, and the wagon suddenly looks low, long, and almost too sensible for today's market. That is the secret. The 2006 to 2009 V70 is a real wagon, not a pretend sport truck, and it gives you the kind of cargo space SUV shoppers claim they need. Depending on year and trim, you may see Volvo 5-cylinder setups or later 6-cylinder versions, so the rule is simple. Service history first, engine romance second. A clean, naturally aspirated, or properly maintained car is worth attention. A cheap Volvo with no records is not a bargain. It is a bill with leather seats. Cargo capacity is the argument. A 2009 V70 offers around 37 cubic feet behind the rear seat and roughly 72 cubic feet maximum. That is close to many mid-size SUVs, but with a lower load floor, better highway manners, and less big truck nonsense. Used values can sit around the $6,000 range for decent examples, while a newer family SUV with similar room can cost several times more. Why does the shape create value? Mainstream buyers see an old European wagon, a boxy roofline, an expensive badge fear, and no macho SUV image. That kills demand. Good, that is where patient buyers win. The V70 can feel plush, safe, and solid when maintained, but it is not a car for people who hate records. Known weak points include timing belt history on applicable engines, PCV system issues, cooling system age, suspension wear, electrical faults, and neglected transmission fluid. Check rear hatch wiring, tailgate struts, cargo floor water, roof rail seals, rear suspension, and spare tire well moisture. Open the hatch, lift panels, smell the carpet, and look for water trails. Wagons get used like small trucks, so inspect the cargo area as if it carried dogs, tools, furniture, and wet boots. On the drive, the Volvo should feel stable and quiet, not clunky or confused. If the transmission bangs, the cooling system smells sweet, or the owner shrugs at timing belt records, walk away. European wagons do not forgive mysterious maintenance. But with a clean history, this can be a cheaper, classier, more useful alternative to another overpriced crossover. One more thing, do not buy this Volvo because it feels fancy on a 10-minute drive. Buy it only if the receipts prove timing service, fluids, brakes, suspension, and cooling parts were handled before failure. A well-kept V70 feels like a smart family wagon. A neglected one turns into a European lesson with a shop invoice attached. Keep the comparison honest, too. A modern compact SUV may sit higher, but it may not load easier, ride better, or carry more once you fold the seats. The wagon roofline gives usable length, the lower floor saves your back, and the weaker image keeps the price from getting stupid. That is the whole wagon argument in one sentence. The market charges extra for image, then quietly discounts the shape that still does the work. For a buyer who measures cars by utility instead of ego, that discount is not a compromise. It is the entire opportunity. SUV buyers made the mistake. You profit from it. The next one is not quite a wagon and not quite a van, and that confusion is exactly why it sells cheaply. Number 4. Mazda 5, 2012 to 2015. Confused shoppers walk right past this little microvan, and that confusion creates cheaper, roomier, smarter family value. We like the 2012 to 2015 Mazda 5 in sport, touring, or grand touring trim, preferably stock, family-owned, and backed by boring service records. Under the hood is a 2.5-liter four-cylinder with either a manual or automatic, depending on year and trim. It is not fast, but speed is not why this oddball works. The trick is utility. With the rear setup folded, it gives around 44 cubic feet of usable cargo room behind the second row, and it can carry 6 people when needed. That is more practical than many compact SUVs that cost more, park worse, and still make kids swing doors into the next car. Sliding doors are the secret weapon here. In tight parking lots, school pickup lines, airport runs, and garage spaces. Sliding doors beat crossover doors every day. Buyers skip it because SUV people think it is a van, minivan people think it is too small, and wagon buyers forget it exists. That category confusion crushes demand, which helps the careful buyer. Street reality check: the Mazda 5 is narrow, noisy, and not plush. You will hear the road. The third row is not luxury seating. Loaded with adults and luggage, it feels busy. But for kids, groceries, dogs, folding chairs, airport bags, and errands, it does SUV work without SUV pricing. Known weak points include front suspension wear, rear tire wear, rust in some areas, engine mounts, thermostat issues, brake calipers, and transmission control module trouble on neglected examples. Wagon-specific inspection note: check both sliding doors, cargo floor damage, rear seat folding mechanisms, rear tire wear, and water intrusion near the hatch. Open every door, fold every seat, and inspect the rear cargo plastics like the car lived a real family life, because it probably did. On the drive, listen for clunks, feel for brake pull, and watch the temperature gauge at idle. If the back tires are chopped up, assume alignment or suspension work. Compare it to a used RAV4 or CR-V, and the price difference can be painful. People pay more for the SUV shape, not always for more usable room. That is the wagon lesson. Check the rear HVAC flow if equipped, and make sure the second row tracks slide without binding. Family cars collect spilled drinks, broken latch covers, and bent seat hardware. None of that kills the deal, but it gives you negotiation power. If you see sagging doors, broken sliders, or a hatch that drops on your head, price it like real work, not a small annoyance. The best one feels tight, clean, and honest, even if it looks forgotten. The next wagon is the one people now call an SUV, but underneath, it still proves the wagon idea worked. Subscribe if you want smarter family car picks without dealership smoke. We compare cargo, price, repairs, and real utility before you overpay. Number 3. Subaru Outback. 2.5, 2017 to 2019. Lifted wagon marketing fooled America, and the Outback is the proof that image can make a wagon acceptable, profitable, and expensive again. We like 2017 to 2019. Outback 2.5i, premium, or limited models, with the non-turbo 2.5 flat-4, Subaru Linear-tronic CVT, and standard all-wheel drive. That combination is not a race setup. It is built for snow, rain, gravel roads, commuting, and hauling family gear without needing truck height. Cargo is the big argument. You get around 35 cubic feet behind the rear seat and about 73 cubic feet maximum. That is legitimate midsize SUV room, but with a lower load floor and wagon driving manners. Put a cooler, dog crate, stroller, tools, or luggage in the back, and the shape makes sense fast. Price is where the smart buyer pays attention. A clean 2017 Outback can sit around the mid-$14,000 range, depending on trim and market, while newer crossovers and new Outbacks cost far more. The Outback survived because Subaru lifted the wagon, added cladding, sold adventure, and made buyers feel like they were buying an SUV. Underneath, it is still more wagon than truck, and that is not an insult. It loads easier, drives lower, and feels more stable than many tall crossovers. Known weak points are CVT service history, oil consumption checks, wheel bearings, suspension wear, infotainment age, headlight condition, and general underbody wear from snow states. Wagon-specific inspection note: check roof rails, rear hatch electronics, cargo floor, rear suspension, and water leaks around the hatch. Open and close the power lift gate several times if equipped. Look under the cargo mat for moisture. Listen for rear wheel bearing hum at 40 to 60 miles per hour. Test the CVT warm, not just around the block cold. It should pull smoothly, not shudder, flare, or groan. Also, inspect tires carefully, because Subaru's all-wheel drive wants matching tires. Mismatched rubber can stress the driveline and expose lazy ownership. Check service records for CVT fluid, differential fluid, brake work, and regular oil changes. If the seller says Subaru all-wheel drive never needs anything, that is your warning. It needs care like any mechanical system. One more thing. Do not confuse ground clearance with toughness. The Outback has useful clearance, but it is not a rock crawler. Look for scraped underbody panels, bent exhaust hangers, cracked splash shields, salty suspension hardware, and side cladding and doors. A clean highway Outback is a different buy from one that spent every weekend dragging through rutted trails. Street reality check. This is not the old cheap wagon nobody understands. People know Outbacks now, so prices can stay strong. But compared with many SUVs that offer similar cargo, the Outback still gives a smarter mix of space, fuel use, visibility, and easy loading. If you live where snow hits hard, it can replace a compact SUV without the same tall, heavy feel. That is where wagon value stays smarter, because you are paying for space you actually use, not costume jewelry on the roof. The next wagon is slower, uglier, and somehow one of the smartest cargo bargains Toyota ever built. Number 2. Toyota Prius V, 2015 to 2017. Slow, square, and allergic to style, the Prius V still makes many SUVs look wasteful, heavy, and overpriced. We like the 2015 to 2017 Prius V, especially 2, 3, 4, or 5 trims with a clean hybrid history and no rideshare abuse. Under the hood is Toyota's 1.8-liter hybrid system with an ECVT built for fuel savings, not ego. Cargo is the whole argument. You get about 67.3 cubic feet with the rear seats folded, plus around 41 combined miles per gallon and 134 horsepower. That means you are not buying speed. You are buying space, economy, and Toyota hybrid parts knowledge in one weird wagon shell. Compare that with a compact SUV that burns more gas, costs more, and often gives similar real cargo room once the seats are folded. A 2017 Prius V can sit around the mid-teens in clean condition, while Toyota's newer Prius gives less cargo, and the Crown Signia lives in a much higher price class. That gap is where the value sits. People see a Prius wagon and think taxi, appliance, or old rideshare car. They do not picture road trips, dogs, groceries, airport bags, and tools sliding into a low cargo floor. Good. That image kills demand and keeps prices below many Toyota SUV alternatives. Street reality check: this wagon is ugly, slower, and louder than a luxury crossover. It also does not care. It hauls, sips fuel, and parks easily. Known weak points are hybrid battery age, EGR neglect, head gasket worries on abused high-mile cars, brake actuator noise, worn suspension, and cargo area wear from family life. Lift the rear cargo floor, check for water, test hatch struts, inspect the spare tire area, listen for brake booster cycling, and scan the hybrid battery health. Check inverter coolant service. Look for warning lights after a full warm drive, and do not skip a pre-purchase hybrid scan. A cheap hybrid with hidden codes is not a deal. It is a waiting invoice. Also, watch the coolant level over time. If the seller says it only loses a little coolant, walk away. Small coolant stories can become brutal hybrid repair stories. On the drive, it should feel smooth, calm, and predictable, not shaky or rough on startup. Check rear tires for uneven wear, because family wagons often carry weight and get ignored. If the interior smells like smoke, taxi cleaner, or wet carpet, do not convince yourself it is harmless. A clean Prius V is one of the smartest cargo bargains Toyota has ever built. And number one is where Toyota reliability, wagon usefulness, and dead brand pricing meet in one cheap shape. Number 1, Pontiac Vibe and Toyota Matrix, 2009 to 2010. Hidden under a cheap hatchback shape is the SUV alternative nobody explains correctly. And that is why the Vibe and Matrix land at number 1. We are looking at 2009 to 2010 Pontiac Vibe or Toyota Matrix models, with the 1.8-liter base cars as the low-cost sweet spot. The 2.4-liter versions can work, but only with strong service history, clean oil habits, and no oil-burning signs. These cars use 4-cylinder engines with manual or automatic transmissions, depending on trim, and they package usable cargo room into a small, easy-to-park body. The Vibe gives about 21 cubic feet behind the rear seats and around 49.4 cubic feet maximum. The Matrix is in the same useful neighborhood, with Toyota's own specs showing 49.4 cubic feet behind the front seats for this generation. That is not giant SUV space, but it is enough for groceries, tools, folding chairs, luggage, dog crates, and a weekend hardware run. Now compare the price. A 2009 Matrix can sit around cheap compact car money, while Vibe examples often fall even lower because Pontiac is dead and buyers assume parts are scary. That is the secret. Under the skin, the Vibe shares Toyota family thinking, and many common service parts are not exotic at all. The shape creates value because SUV shoppers ignore it, Pontiac scares casual buyers, and the Matrix looks like a Corolla hatch nobody requested. That kills demand while keeping utility. Street reality check. Do not expect a plush cabin, a silent ride, or a fancy screen. Expect road noise, scratched cargo plastic, tired hatch struts, old cloth, faded paint, and maybe a dashboard that rattles on rough pavement. Fine. You are buying reliable errands, not status. Known weak points are water pump seepage, wheel bearings, intake gasket issues, hatch leaks, rust, suspension clunks, and oil consumption risk on neglected 2.4-liter cars. Wagon-specific inspection note: check hatch leaks, cargo floor damage, rear seat folding, roof seams, spare tire well moisture, and rear suspension wear. Fold every seat during the inspection, because broken latches and wet carpet turn useful wagons into annoying projects. Utility only matters when the rear area still works. Open the hatch, fold the seats, and inspect the back like it hauled real life, because it probably did. On the drive, listen for wheel bearing growl at highway speed, front-end clunks over broken pavement, and any rough idle that hints at intake leaks. Also, inspect the rocker panels and rear suspension mounts in salt states. One more trick: compare it against the compact SUV you were about to finance. If the Vibe or Matrix carries your actual weekly load, the taller vehicle is mostly image, payment, and extra tire cost. Why number one? Because this pair does compact SUV errands with Toyota family simplicity, lower purchase prices, low insurance, easy parking, and real cargo space. A smart buyer does not need tall bodywork to carry normal stuff. He needs a clean inspection, boring maintenance, and a shape the market underpriced. If it has a dry hatch, clean fluids, steady idle, and no rust underneath, this is the wagon sleeper people regret ignoring. If this saves you money, subscribe. We show reliable hidden gems, costly SUV traps, and simple checks before you buy. Buyer rule close: if the wagon hauls what you actually carry, costs less than the SUV you were about to buy, and passes a clean inspection, the shape is your advantage. The market punished wagons for image. You use that mistake to buy real utility for less money. Also, price insurance before buying, because low-risk wagon shapes often beat taller, newer SUVs on monthly costs. Those savings are part of the ownership win. That is not glamorous, but it protects cash better than showroom pride every single week. Click the video on your screen next. We'll show wagons and hatchback SUVs made cheaper. Subscribe for reliable picks, smarter buying, and fewer payment regrets.